Another hegemonic idea is the representation of government as bad, as something that is immoral, evil, or just incompetent. All right, that TV shows and films will often present government officials as ridiculous, as ineffectual, or just really evil, bad people. All right, and that encourages us to see government as a malevolent force in our lives. And then the flip side to that is the portrayal of business, all right, where business is often glorified and celebrated in our popular culture, where rich, wealthy people are held up as models of good citizens. TV shows and films will present enterprising business people coming up with new ideas for cool businesses. TV news will often, celebrate our stock market and report on the, the increase in stock prices as a really good thing, right? Now, these ideas then also may influence people because, again, people may kind of see these ideas as just natural, right? That people may come to see government as bad and evil and may come to celebrate free market business, right? Now, I'm getting back to the core idea here of why then do people tend to support the views of those that are in power and that may not serve their own interests, right? Here, some scholars argue that in the U.S., a lot of lower income, poor, working class people, especially in rural areas, tend to identify with the views of corporate elites, tend to support the views of very conservative Republicans, and some ask, why is that? Why is it that lower income groups tend to support these policies that may not be in their best interest? All right, because again, some scholars argue that if you're struggling, if you're low income, if you're on the verge of losing your job or getting fired, well, you probably would need some kind of social safety net, that you might need unemployment insurance or assistance with food stamps, or you might need some broader social help with health care, all right? But the argument here is that lower income people have been so socialized by popular culture and these core hegemonic ideas that people wind up accepting this idea of individualism, myth of the American dream, government as evil, the celebration of business as good. And the argument here is that then these lower income people then wind up voting for politicians that support these ideas, that support, cutting government programs for the poor, cutting food stamp assistance, cutting government spending, cutting back on government regulation of the environment, air, water pollution, and so forth. All right, so here the argument is that these lower income groups wind up supporting policies that are really not in their own best interest. And advocates of this concept of hegemony argue that in large part these lower income groups, working class people, wind up accepting the political views of corporate elites, again, because they've been socialized to accept these ideas through our popular culture, right? And some argue that you see this with the successful Tea Party movement, that Tea Party members are very anti-government, pro-business, anti-taxes, anti-government spending. Yet, again, many Tea Party members are, from very modest backgrounds, struggling economically, and again, might actually benefit from things like Medicare, Social Security, subsidized health insurance, and so forth. But they don't, because they wind up identifying with these views of those in power, right? And then again, this all kind of works as some larger system to reproduce things the way they already are. It legitimizes, the power of those that are already in charge, and prevents and discourages any kind of criticism of existing social arrangements. Now, this is a very provocative idea, and obviously not everybody agrees with this notion of hegemony, all right? Advocates of, media industries and advocates of the Tea Party movement would say that this is all wrong, that in fact, that people that support cuts in government spending, cuts in tax rates for the wealthy and corporations, that people have freely decided to support these policies because they've thought things through and they've made a reasoned decision that this is what they want to do. These are the politicians and government policies that they want to support, and that we should respect people's views and not just dismiss them as people being indoctrinated by the views of some corporate elites. All right. So I guess one of the things I want to ask you is, what do you think about this very provocative idea of hegemony, and this idea that media produced by large corporate conglomerates tend to present hegemonic ideas that ultimately reinforce the power of those in charge, and that these hegemonic ideas socialize people that lack power to identify with those that are in charge, and to not challenge the power or inequality that we see today. It's a very provocative idea, and goes to the heart of whether or not we truly have an open, democratic society. Another key feature of media conglomerates and media industries over the past 20 years has been the rise of specialization, right? Where media companies have moved away from trying to reach large, mass, undifferentiated audiences. As we've talked about before, back in the 1950s and 60s, many media sectors were trying to reach these kind of large general audiences. NBC, CBS, ABC, their shows that tried to reach everybody. Now there's been a shift away from this, this general audience towards a more specialized audience groups. So now today, media companies are increasingly trying to reach specialized niche audiences. So magazines try to reach very young people or old people. Cable channels try to reach African Americans or Latinos or young males, right? And we're seeing that even broadcast television that used to try to reach these larger general audience has moved towards niche programming, niche marketing. CBS, for instance, with its police and cop procedurals, crime shows, it tries to reach kind of a somewhat older rural audience, whereas Fox's TV shows try with its kind of edgy approach to programming tries to reach younger audiences. So again, the key word here for media today is specialization, trying to reach these niche audiences.